What's up everybody, D-Man back. Welcome to a brand new video, and Godzilla Minus One has just concluded its run in United States theaters. It has officially left. But the party is not over. Today we will be doing my review for Bandai's new Godzilla from Godzilla Minus One. They actually just call this thing Godzilla in the movie and on the figure, so we're going to be doing the pre-evolved Godzilla in this review. I figured enough time has passed, I'm probably good to talk about the only spoiler that really exists in the movie. It's not really a spoilery movie, nor is this character's appearance treated like a big spoiler. It happens immediately if you haven't seen the film. And it's incredible, so I wanted to get the figure, I wanted to talk about that. Now we have the ability to. And then they always just come with the tag on them. And of course, because this is Bandai culture, I will not be taking the tag off, it'll live on him. Even though it's like literally his whole size and covers up an entire half of his body, it's the culture of the fan base, and who am I to judge? I'm gonna judge, but I'm just gonna follow the rule because it's easier. On the inside of that little tag, they've got Godzilla's dorsal spines, the Godzilla Minus One logo, some information about the toy, and then the G Minus 1.0 and their new 2023 Toho banner. On the back, like a big thank you sticker. This is the Bandai Movie Monster Series pre-evolved Godzilla from Godzilla Minus One, and it's kind of our best look at Godzilla's newest design, considering in the movie he only appears shrouded in darkness and doesn't have a ton of screen time, so you don't really get to look at the guy that much, and this is a great way to just look at the design. Man, I loved the Godzillasaur's portrayal in Godzilla Minus One. I've ranted about it in my videos about it, but it is my favorite version of the pre-evolved Godzilla. I just think it is so fantastic. It is the best way to show a pre-evolved Godzilla that we've seen so far. I'm not a fan of the Godzillasaur from 1991. I felt like the concept art was pretty solid and the execution was not. I just found it to be uninteresting to look at, kind of clunky, and it didn't really feel like a natural pre-base for Godzilla to start in. And then of course you've got the very radical, very weird ones like Shin Godzilla or Godzilla Singular Point, and those are not even barely Godzilla other than just in name only. This actually felt like Godzilla, and it made sense to me that this would turn into the Godzilla we know. You can totally see the resemblance, and to me the thing that is so neat about the Godzillasaur, and the thing that this figure captures so well in Godzilla Minus One, was that it was almost like the legendary Godzilla. I've talked a lot about in videos how if I was to do a transformation for Godzilla, I would tend to start with something that looks a little more like the legendary Godzilla, because the 2014 Godzilla was really the perfect natural, this is what Godzilla looks like as an animal. The scale texturing was so realistic. It was so alligator inspired. The way the whole body looked and moved felt very real. The gills on the side of the neck just made so much sense. This definitely clearly takes inspiration from that. This is like a baby version of that 2014 Godzilla. You hit this thing with an atomic bomb and it grows up into the Godzilla from Minus One. That just makes sense to me, and that is the same way I would go about Godzilla's evolution, so that's why I'm so into it. It basically takes all of my ideas about what a pre-evolved Godzilla should be and puts them on screen, and I think it's fantastic. As far as the figure goes, I think the sculpt is pretty impressive. This is a Bandai Movie Monster Series, and as per usual with Bandai's, I just think it looks really solid. Godzilla's got a great design here with great proportioning. Now in the movie, Godzilla does have a bit more of a hunched forward posture than you can really achieve with this figure in a way that'll look normal. Also, Godzilla's arms in the movie I do feel are a little longer than they are on this figure, but other than that, the sculpt is really nice. The skin texturing overall, it's just so well done, and it goes to show what Bandai's strength is. By using these beautiful soft vinyl plastics to do the base for the body, you're able to get a lot of these really great skin texturings in them. Now, I would have preferred if they had taken in the film itself things a little bit further, because Godzilla still feels a little unnatural. I really like the way he's got these really bumpy portions on his shoulders that bleed into these more Monsterverse styled scales going down his arms, but it would have made more sense for Godzilla to be a little smoother or to be a little more consistent with one texture overall. Godzilla's skin texturing overall on this toy, and that clearly goes to highlight what it is in the movie, is kind of rumply and bumpy and looks like the Godzilla skin texturing we've come to love already, rather than looking like some sort of natural creature that turns into that. Of course, Godzilla's original skin texturing was inspired by the way that the human body responded to radiation. Here it looks a little more frog inspired, and if that's what they're doing, then I guess that makes sense. I would have just preferred something a little more easy to look at. The front of Godzilla is really well done. I love the chest. It's very clear how that chest transforms into the massive bulking chest that Godzilla has once he's hit with the bomb. Going down through the body, they've just got a really nice way that they blend from that rumply skin texture into the scale patterns. The legs look really nice with the smoothness of them, but then the scales bleeding onto the toes and the feet. The toes actually look really good. The side profile is wonderful. Godzilla's tail's done very well. I really like the way it sections out as it goes down. The biggest complaint I have about this figure is the way that all the pieces put together. I don't really concern myself with the way that the legs or the arms fit onto the rest of the body, just because it's gonna kind of stand out where they begin and end. The thing that I'm a little more distracted by is the harsh line running on the dorsal spines, where Godzilla's dorsal spines have plugged into the base for the body, and where the tail has attached to the body itself. That one in particular really doesn't make the transition, as that might be a painting issue, but it just really stands out. Other than that, wonderful detailing all the way around, really solid toy. I really like that they've got all the texturing in Godzilla's spines themselves. That's very MonsterVerse inspired. The face looks fantastic with so much good detailing. Not only does the nose look really good, the strong aggressive eyebrows, the way that the back of the neck has those intense scales, the mouth itself, all of it looks really good. They've even got the webbed membrane in between the jaws. I could go on and on about how well Bandai does in the sculpt department, but let's get on to the paint job. Godzilla's painted with this overall gray paint. That's about it. That's all there really is going on with him, because that's really all that they have in the movie. It seems, and this could just be a lighting thing, but some areas like the shoulders themselves seem to have a bit of a darker paint to them, where they've maybe added some shadowing. There's definitely shadowing on the feet. The toenails are painted black. The hands have black fingernails, which look really good. One little thing that is always going to irk me is the way that they've put this numbered tag on Godzilla's bottom of his tail. Other than that, it all looks great, but then they put that little barcode on his tail, and it really stands out because it's so bright compared to the rest of him. The only real paint on the figure is in the face, and the teeth look pretty good. They're not individually sculpted, but the paint is applied very well. The inside of the mouth is this very dull purplish color, so that doesn't really stand out in a striking way, and that's okay because it's not drawing too much attention to itself, but it is painted like flesh. And then the eyes look really great. The eyes are really hard to see, but they're orange eyes, both looking forward. He's also got this like silver eyeliner, which is pretty cute, Godzilla. You're looking good. As far as articulation goes, it's your standard Bandai stuff. The legs kick out, the arms kick out, 4 points in total, that's it. But it's the soft plastics, so you can still bend them. He can still do scratches and grabs. You can pinch the mouth so it can bite. The legs can kick out. As for the tail, although there's no articulation, like I said, it's that soft vinyl plastic, so you can wag it. That's the stuff that I loved as a kid. That's the reason Bandai always stuck out to me so much, was because you had so much freedom with the way you were able to play with them due to the soft plastic. It also just looks better. It's not glossy and ugly like some of the other brands we cover on the channel. The biggest issue with this figure overall is that gap from the body to the tail, and I think that's a paint issue where the paint on the tail is just darker than the body's paint, so it's noticeable. Other than that, pretty solid. Getting Godzilla himself out, here's the big boy. I love Godzilla in this movie. What a wonderful glow up from Godzilla's sword to Godzilla. You can really see the progression in Godzilla, especially in the front with the chest, but having the two side by side really highlights the differences. Godzilla grows a much longer tail. He really straightens up his entire body into a much more upright position. His face really shrinks in and becomes much more rounded. Godzilla's spines grow out far more exaggerated and a little more unnaturally, whereas they looked a little more normal on the smaller one. Godzilla also kind of changes in shades. He gets a bit lighter and has a lot more highlights going throughout the body. These two figures are absolutely wonderful and go super well together. I really love this transition from Godzilla's pre-evolved state to the standard Godzilla, and I think the figures have done a really wonderful job bringing that out. Also, I'm just noticing like the toenails go from being black to being brown, which is a pretty interesting direction for them to have taken with them. That's really cool. I just think these figures are so awesome. I also wanted to get out Yamazaki's other Godzilla just because I thought it'd be interesting to see the differences. Obviously, these two are not totally meant to go together, although they do kind of blend well on camera anyways. They look pretty solid side by side. Godzilla the right is far greener than Godzilla Minus One, and so he stands out in bigger contrast to the Godzillasaur. I did want to quickly get out the Bandai Movie Monster Series Godzilla 2019. I don't think it's a great figure. I think that Bandai really didn't put a lot of effort into their monster MonsterVerse Godzilla, but having the two of them side by side just kind of highlights what I was talking about, showing how Godzilla's pre-evolved state kind of looks a bit MonsterVerse-y to me, and how you can see where I'm coming from, and that the MonsterVerse looks like the natural version of what Godzilla started as versus what he became, and you can kind of see that here with these two figures. So it's cool to see the two of them next to each other. Finally, and I really don't dislike this guy, I wanted to get out Godzilla from Godzilla Singular Point. This is Godzilla Terrestris. Far more vibrant and colorful and strange and outlandish, and like I said, kind of Godzilla in name only. Whereas if this was Godzilla's design for an entire film or series, I would think like, what are we doing? This is such a radical redesign to Godzilla. It's very strange. If the pre-evolved Godzilla from Minus One was the Godzilla design for an entire movie, I'd be pretty down with it. It'd be like some of the earlier American adaptations of Godzilla that never really got off the ground. It would feel a bit more dinosaur inspired, a bit more T-Rex inspired, but it would lean itself into a more realistic style of Godzilla story, and I wouldn't hate it, especially after the 2014 film, which introduced us to a Godzilla that's very similar to this. That'll be my review for this one. It's a pretty solid figure. I give it a 9 out of 10. I don't know of much else I would do with it other than maybe have a paint job that accentuates some of the details a little more. Other than that, it's just a wonderful figure. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed. I want to give a huge thank you to my patrons over on Patreon. It is through the support of the Patreon that I'm able to make videos like this for you guys, that I'm able to get figures like this to review. If you want to check out the Patreon, you can use the link in the description below, where you can get early access to content, access to the Discord community, and more. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys next time for the next one. D-Man out.